and I'll have it recorded from here too. Where is that? Yeah, the recording button, and here we can write Dr. Sama, and here we can write class number 2. Okay, and we are on our way. Good evening everyone, this is Dr. Sama Abdel Jalil, and this class is being recorded like always. This is A230A, and this is our second class, right? Last time we started off the class by giving or furnishing some kind of background to the age in which the plays that we are dealing with have been written, or against which these plays were written. Spoke enough about the age, spoke enough about the movement from the Middle Ages to the early modern age, spoke about the Renaissance, and it's, by the way, the pronunciation of the word is either Renaissance, and this is British English, or Renaissance, which is obviously French and maybe American. Because people kept asking me, why are you using this kind of pronunciation for the word Renaissance? Like I said, this is British English, and you might also like to pronounce it Renaissance. Anyway, whether it's Renaissance or Renaissance, you know what the term means. We have unpacked it last time, spoke about the movement and then transition from the Middle Ages to the modern age, where the Renaissance played an instrumental role in this kind of movement or transition. We spoke about the Renaissance in terms of what it means and what it signifies to the Europeans. The Renaissance was all about this revival of interest in classical learning. Classical learning, whether we're talking about philosophy, we're talking about mathematics, we're talking about the arts and architecture and all these kinds of things. We also spoke about the reasons why people went all the way back to classical learning for inspiration, and we said that prior to the Renaissance, the time was dominated by the clergy and church people in what was known at the time as the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages had it all about religion, and this was kind of suffocating for people. People wanted more than religious thought. There is obviously nothing wrong with having religion at the forefront, but people asked for other material. They wanted science, they wanted mathematics, and they wanted philosophy, and they got it when the Renaissance appeared. We made after that we went all the way to England, or to Britain, where this is obviously our main concern, because the plays that we are dealing with are written by British or English writers. One of them is Shakespeare, of course, and the other is Webster. Somebody's writing something in the chat, and this is diverting my attention away from. So what is it that you guys want before I start? Mm-hmm. Okay. So are you following at all? Okay. Okay, good. So again, our focus is on the literary scene in England. This was during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, and we said that she was a believer in the arts and in science. Um, and that's why, I mean, the arts were flourishing at the time when she was ruling the country, and that's why we had excellent and exceptional talents like Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe, and also the people who came after, like Webster. They The atmosphere was very encouraging, that they flourished and they became who they are now. I mean, in other words, had it not been for the this encouraging atmosphere, they wouldn't have created those masterpieces that we are all celebrating and reading with passion. Anyway, we'll remember one of the ideas that we also spoke about is the idea of tragedy. We said that the age was about drama, and drama was all in the Elizabethan age. And we said that of all the other artistic forms, drama stood out as the most appealing to people. We also spoke about artistic patronage, the idea that there were patrons or sponsors um, for those literary works and for literary talents like Shakespeare. I mean, patronage is good and everything, except for the fact that this may influence the decisions of the dramatist or the writer. And this, I think, happened in the two plays that we are dealing with, whether it's Othello or the Duchess of Malfi, where um, political and social messages are very clear throughout the two plays. Remember what happens to Othello and Desdemona at the end of the play. What happened to them was tragic, and it's simply because, in the eyes of society and in the eyes of the people who Shakespeare represents, they are transgressors. They are defying the established order. And if you are defying and if you're going against the established order, which says that there is no way a black individual gets married to somebody, I mean, a female girl. This is obviously one of the tenets and the ideas of the age, and obviously the couple were going against that, and they had to pay very dearly for it. And this was a message that the members of the audience have to receive and have to kind of understand loud and clear. Again, the idea of patronage and the influence of patronage on the decisions of writers is also very clear in the Duchess of Malfi, where we have the Duchess going down the social ladder and deciding to get married to her steward Antonio. Again, what happens to the Duchess at the end is a lesson that everybody, all the members of the audience have to heed and have to think of before they decide to come up with an act like this one. Class fixity is very important in the Duchess of Malfi, and this is the message that Webster was trying to get across to members of the audience by having the Duchess killed at the end of the play. Everybody is keeping his guard up, if you like. They know that they shouldn't think of changing their station in life. If you're a low-born, you have to stay as such. If you are somebody who is born in a high place on the chain of being, on the social hierarchy, you have to stick to your place. There is no room for love that crosses boundaries, whether we're talking on the level of race or on the level of class. This pretty much sums up the issues and the ideas that the two plays revolve around. All what we do in the coming hours would be to kind of dig for examples that prove these theories. And we have started doing that last time, and the focus was mainly on Othello. We're going to continue with Othello tonight, and we are going to finish Othello tomorrow. We're having another class tomorrow. Before I proceed, I would like to ask you: have you done any reading? Are you done reading the play yet? Okay, so we have an individual with a number, and I said last time that it's difficult for me to say numbers. If I want to address you and you have a number, that would be a challenge for me. So do me a favor and go out and come back with a name, or even give me your name now, and remember next time to come with a name. Okay, so I read both Arabic and English versions of the play. That's good. I don't know who this person is, but you're doing a good job, Yumna. So Yumna is saying that she has yet to finish reading the entire play. Thank you, Yumna. At least you have started. We're so proud of you. Okay, so most of us have done our homework. Most of us have either finished or yet to finish the play, and this is and I congratulate you on your enthusiasm. Thank you so much, and I'm hopeful. Juliana finished reading the course book too, mashallah. That's too fast for my taste. I mean, as a teacher, I cannot do that myself unless I'm just leafing through the pages, which I trust you're not doing, Juliana. I know how good you are. By the way, did I? No, it wasn't me. I was the one who entered the IC case for you, but I wasn't the one who. I mean, you got a high mark, which is an indication that you're doing a good job. Jehan finished reading and she has watched the video. That's good news. Okay. So this time around, I'm expecting people to participate. I'll give you the mic. I don't want to monopolize the talk. I should be only a moderator and a facilitator where I may at time pose a question that people can come to the mic so that they can kind of answer and elaborate and on it and stuff like that. But I'm hopeful that tonight you guys are ready to take up the mic and give us insights into the play. and a dash extra. Works of Shakespeare, but can someone tell me how to get the book? I'm not sure. I think if you're asking about Shakespeare's plays, they are all over the place. They are not copyrighted anymore, and you can download them from the internet or off the internet. If you're asking about the textbook, the secondary sources, in other words, I have copies of the chapters, and I'm going to share with you those copies. I already did. I gave you an audio version of chapter 1 of the introduction and chapter 1. Have you seen that? I sent a link to the group, right? I'm yet to send you the soft copy. I'll Okay, this is another issue. I mean, you can always join the group. Okay. We also, I think I also released class 1, right? Did you get that? I released a video recording of class 1, and I'm hopeful that this was useful and helpful. Okay. Anyway, enough talking about what I consider procedural and less important, and let's focus on the play and arguments about the play. So the play, as you may have noticed, is very interesting. If we talk about the play in terms of technique, we'll say, and technique and form, we're going to say that the play is a tragedy. Last time we spoke about the characteristics and elements of tragedy. We said that tragedies have at their core a central character who is exceptional in everything except for the fact that he has a flaw. This flaw proves to be tragic, and it prompts him to commit a number of mistakes and errors, leading to his tragic downfall at the end of the play. This is what happened in Othello. I'm not going to talk about Othello anymore. I'm not going to talk about the character and how high and mighty he is, how exceptional in everything he is. You guys know about all of these things already. We're going to talk. We'll take. This is, by the way, before I proceed, this is going to be chapter 1, and chapter 1's title is Impediments to Love. So William Shakespeare's Othello, Impediments to Love, and we unpacked the word impediment last time and said impediments are obstacles and challenges that you meet. Okay, so the love that we're talking about is obviously the love of Othello and Desdemona, and the impediments that they face are external and internal challenges. The external challenges and impediments that they met have to do with the fact that they belong to two different races. He is dark and she is white. He is non-Christian and she is Christian. He is old and she is young. He is ugly in the eyes of society, of course, of Venetian society. She is fair and beautiful. So how to reconcile all these things? This is what the play is all about. Could they reconcile these things? Apparently, no. Judging from what happened at the end of the play, this never happened. Okay, is it a message that the writer is sending? Yeah, it is a message. What's the message? Never think of mixing with. There is obviously nothing wrong with mixing and dealing with people from other races, but never think of getting it as deep as thinking of marrying from them. And this is the message that obviously Othello didn't heed and didn't understand. And somebody, I'm talking about serious stuff, and people are talking about the group, the admin of the group. This is not very serious. Just leave it until the end of the class, right? Just focus and concentrate with me. What we're saying is more important than joining the group and stuff like that. Just leave it there, and we'll talk about all those procedural issues when the time is right. Okay. So again, it interrupts me, and it disrupts the line of thought that I try to establish and follow. Anyway, again, I'm talking about the impediments, and I spoke about the external impediments, and we also have internal impediments, and those have to do with the characters that we have, whether we're talking about Othello or Desdemona. If we talk about Othello, it is very clear that he has a number of insecurities, and I would like you to mark my words when I talk about the idea of insecurities. Insecurities is from the word secure and insecure. So some people are insecure psychologically. They feel threatened. They don't feel okay. I mean, they may misinterpret and misconstrue every message or every move people make. And Othello happens to be one of them. We say that he had a number of insecurities, and those insecurities contributed to his downfall eventually. One of those insecurities would have to do with the color of his skin, the fact that um, he himself is not so proud of his color. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't have those insecurities, like I said. Um, he is an outsider. He's somebody who does not really belong, and he feels it. In spite of the honor heaped upon him as an exceptional military leader, he deep down feels that he doesn't belong, that he is an outsider. An outsider because he doesn't look like them, because he doesn't belong to their I mean, he doesn't have the same set of traditions to fall back upon. He doesn't feel okay about it. This is one of the insecurities that he has. Also, the fact that he is married to somebody who is way younger to him. This is also or gives or feeds his sense of insecurity. He would ask himself, perhaps, when he refers to himself, why would a beautiful lady falls for a man like me? I am perhaps twice her age. I don't belong to her race. And he perhaps he questions himself, and he keeps asking these kinds of questions. But this is an insecurity that also will have a bad impact on him later. Also, the whole atmosphere, the fact that he doesn't that he doesn't belong. So we'll talk about the idea of insecurities at length later. So again, if we also talk about internal impediments and internal factors bringing about the downfall of the couple at the end, we would also talk about Desdemona. Desdemona, who was at the beginning showing us signs of courage and self-reliance and defiance and all those kinds of things, but over time we find her very helpless, very submissive. She doesn't even try to defend herself. The Desdemona that we meet at the beginning is different from the Desdemona that we meet at the end. At the beginning, she defied her entire society in order to get married to the man she loves, come what may. But at the end, she is so submissive, she is defenseless, to the extent that when we compare her to Emilia, the other female character, we say that Emilia is way more courageous than she is, more assertive, which is very strange. Not Moroccan. We didn't say. I mean, we didn't even pinpoint the place where he comes from. We didn't say. We say either Morocco or Algeria or even Tunisia. We're talking about North Africa. So he is North African. He is African. He is non-European, if you like. Okay. Um, I'm not going to revisit the idea of the Renaissance or Renaissance. We spoke enough about that. Um, these are the characters. If you can you see the slides? Yes. Okay. So what do we have? We have the um different characters. Of course, we have Othello, Desdemona, Iago, Cassio, Emilia, and Rodrigo. The other characters are not as important when we speak, for example, about Parapansio. Um, what other than that, we don't have any major characters. In terms of character traits, we now know what those characters stand for. If we talk about Othello, in terms of physical traits, he is middle-aged, perhaps older than that, and dark. In terms of character traits, he's a loving husband, but jealous, and rash. Rash means that he doesn't think before he acts. He acts and then thinks, and this is obviously wrong. He is, as we experience in the play, he is in conflict with issues, ideas, and people, of course. And the people that he has issues with are ideas and issues, and they stand for ideas and issues. If we move away from Othello, we will have Desdemona, his wife, and of course, that in terms of physical appearance, Desdemona was very beautiful, and of course she's white, and under white I will put a number of lines because she is white when her husband is dark, and this is where there are complications, obviously. In terms of character traits, yeah, she was innocent, she was good. At one point she was very courageous, but towards the end of the play she is no longer that courageous, and she is very submissive to her fate. um, Conflicts that she is engaged in, she doesn't have any conflicts except for the fact that she has issues with her husband. She at one point wouldn't tolerate the idea that he is kind of um, you know suspicious of her behavior, and she is the one who defied the entire world to get married to him. If we move to Iago, Iago is another central character. He may be even competing with Othello for first character in the play, for hero, in other words. Again, had it not been for his maneuvering and his contriving and intrigues, we wouldn't have um, reached the stage that we did. I mean, given the fact that it is through his insinuations to Othello that we had Othello kill his wife and kill himself eventually. It was all because of Iago. To say that it was all because of Iago, I mean the tragic fate of Othello and Desdemona. To say that it was all caused by Iago wouldn't be to the liking of some critics. Some critics believe that this is wrong, and that we're talking about Othello, who is not a child. We're talking about Othello, who is a military leader who should possess some wisdom. If he is a plaything in the hands of Iago, he doesn't deserve our pity, because in tragedies we have exceptional people. If you're a plaything in the hands of another individual who is way less than you in everything, it means that you don't deserve the prestige and the position that you are holding in the eyes and hearts of people. Um, and when we talk about this part, we'll see that some critics believe that it was all the work of Othello, and Iago was only one of the reasons or the causes. People would refer to Othello as a self-dramatizing individual, somebody who likes it when he kind of earned the pity and sympathy of others. Um, some people, some other critics are of course in love with Othello, and they would defend him, and they say no, Othello is such a noble individual, and it was only through the scheming and the evil planning of Iago that he fell. Anyway, we'll talk about this argument, whether critics we'll talk about those who are for Othello and those who are against him among the critics when the time is right. After Iago, we will have Cassio. Cassio is similar to Iago in terms of position. He is also a lieutenant or an assistant to Othello. He is white and handsome and everything, and these are qualities that Iago is going to take advantage of in order to insinuate to Othello that something bad is going behind his back between Cassio and Desdemona. And Othello is going to believe that because of the insecurity, or one of the insecurities that we referred to 15 minutes ago. Remember when we spoke about him being way older than Desdemona? And this was one of his one of the things that he always thought of, one of his concerns and fears. He would engage in thoughts about as why she fell in love with him, and he is the old, ugly individual. So when when Iago comes over and tells him that young, blonde, and white Cassio is kind of betraying you with your wife, he would believe it. Again, instigated by the insecurities that he has, and that he has internalized over and over again. So Cassio, this is Cassio, and then we move to Emilia. Emilia happens to be the wife of Iago, like you know. She is of course older than Desdemona, and she is her maid. Her maid, she helps her, and she over time will have those comparisons between Emilia and Desdemona, and people are going to be all in favor of Emilia, and she will be described as self-assertive because of the fact that she is the one who uncovered it all. But when it was much too late, of course, she will go and tell Othello, after he has killed his wife, unfortunately, that this was all the scheming of evil Iago. She was daring. And again, last time I said that she is meant to be a foil to the character of Desdemona. A foil is a character that dramatists make, and they engage them in discussions and conversations with main female characters so that we can get to know more about this main female character. And this is what Emilia did on a number of occasions with Desdemona. Otherwise, the character of Desdemona would have been kept hidden from us. Who else do we have? We have Rodrigo, and Rodrigo is competing with Othello for the love of Desdemona. He is apparently rich, and he is under the impression that Iago can help him win the heart and the mind of Desdemona. And he doesn't, of course, know that Iago is using him also as a tool to further his evil ends. Am I making sense so far? Do you have any questions? No. Okay. Okay, good. We spoke about the play, and we said that typical of tragedies, it is divided into a number of stages, and we said we normally start with what we call an exposition. An exposition is more or less like an introduction where most of the characters are presented, except for the tragic hero. The tragic hero is kept for a while, so that suspense and excitement built. Um, and this happened in the play. We were not given the character of Othello until later in Act 1, when everybody else spoke about him. So we were so excited to see him, and when he came on stage, we started to compare what he is saying to what people were saying about him, especially if these people are Iago and Rodrigo, who said very bad things about him, referring to his race, referring to his color, referring to, comparing him to animals, referring to him in very you know negative and animal terms. Again, when we see him and when he starts to speak, of course, we get to know that he got married to Desdemona, and when he first appears, he wants to defend his decision to get married to Desdemona, and he's going to remind people of the services that he offered them as their military leader. He's going to also talk about the idea that dark as he is, he comes from a royal family back from where he came from. And his speeches are very eloquent, are very poetic, to the extent that some critics started to refer to him and his speeches as music, and they would talk all the time about Othello's music. Othello's music means the speeches that he made in which he showed eloquence, and he shows high-mindedness and the ability to talk like no other. Um, so Othello's music is a big deal in the play. Um, Let me just alert you to the fact that normally, I mean, noble characters in plays were given, uh, they spoke in verse or in poetry, while characters who are less so, characters who are mean, like Iago, uh, um, they would all the time speak in prose. So when you see Othello speak at the beginning, he speaks in verse, but when he falls into the trap of Iago, when he falls victim to the scheming of Iago, he's going to lose control, and when he loses control, he doesn't speak in verse or in poetry anymore, which is an indication that he fell from um, the summit that he was mounting, or that he was on. He is no longer on top of things. He is now at the bottom of everything because of his rashness, because of his jealousy, because of the idea that he is a bad judge of characters, and he doesn't understand and recognize the evilness of the character of Iago. So again, noble characters normally speak in verse and poetry, while bad characters and low characters speak in prose. Um, so the title of the play is The Tragedy of Othello, the Moor of Venice. So it's Venice, which is white, and Moor, which is normally black and brown, and this is a contradiction, and the whole play is about this contradiction, having a more uh, um, in white Venice. Okay, so a Moor can be there on a short visit, but to stay there and to get married to one of those white girls over there, this is where something has to be done so that not so many people follow suit and mimic the act. The genre, of course, we spoke about the play and we said that it is a revenge tragedy, and we also said that it is a domestic tragedy, right? Together with the fact that it is a tragedy, and tragedy also has its associations when you speak about central character, when you speak about the flow within his character, and when we talk about the tragic end at the close of the play. So it's a revenge tragedy where the protagonist is a tragic hero. He's a noble man who falls from prosperity to misery and death, and this is typical. I'm not sure that I understand that. Somebody's asking me, Mudur, a question, please, doctor. Shall we consider for no, no. When you talk about short stories and no, tragedies are plays, and for them to be called tragedies, they have to be 5-act plays. And you don't have. The short story is a totally different genre. Yeah, Budur. It's a totally different story. Okay. Um, Typical of tragedies, we have um, a number of errors. Um, Error of judgment, miscalculations, and these are tragic flaws. And those tragic flaws will eventually bring about the downfall of this character. In tragedies, we have the protagonist would be the central character, the tragic hero, while the antagonist would be the enemy of this character, a hater of a sort, who tries everything in his power to cause harm to the tragic hero. And this is, of course, uh, um, is Iago in our play, in our context. So again, tragedies are meant to purge us, to cleanse us of our excessive feelings, negative feelings. And this is called in theater terms catharsis. Catharsis means the purging and the cleansing of negative and excessive feelings. The two main feelings that people get in a tragedy would be the feelings of pity and fear. You feel pity for the tragic character or the tragic hero, and you feel fearful. And the fear that you feel would be the fact that you're fearful that at one point you may be subject to the same circumstances, and you would eventually uh, down fall down like the tragic hero. So the fear is fearful for yourself, fearful because you think that you are also a human being, and you may go through the same experience, and you may meet the same fate. Um, the act one, and the lines between 1 to 81 are all about those relationships that we get a glimpse of between Rodrigo and Iago and the other less important characters. Uh, um, we see the relationship that is there between Rodrigo and Iago, and how Rodrigo is under the impression that Iago can help him, like I said, win the heart and the mind of Desdemona. And obviously, Iago is taking advantage of that. He is asking him for money so that he can help him. Through the revelations of the characters, we get to know about reasons, or some of the reasons, why Iago is nursing such hatred for Othello. We get to know, for example, that Othello didn't choose him for a promotion that he was giving. And instead of giving the promotion to Iago, he gave it to Cassio. Iago is, of course, angry, and he believes that he deserves the promotion more than Cassio. So this is one of the reasons why he feels upset. Another reason would be, over time we'll know about this other reason over time, and it has to do with the fact that Iago thinks that there is something fishy between Othello and Emilia. He thinks that Othello is also betraying him with Emilia. Again, when you look at this part, you're going to I would like you to focus on the language of Iago and see how base and how low his language is, and the imagery that he is using are all nasty images taken from the world of animals. Remember when we spoke about the idea of the ewe, referring to Othello as being a black ram and referring to Desdemona as being a ewe? He doesn't refer to the relationship in platonic terms. He doesn't believe in innocent love. Um, he makes fun of him. He makes fun of Othello all the time. Not, of course, not in front of Othello, because he is such a coward. He speaks behind his back. Again, you can almost feel that something is being cooked, uh, and there is a conspiracy that is being, uh, contrived in the dark against Othello. Again, you can almost sense this sense of sarcasm in what Iago is saying. He's very cynical. He's making fun of Othello and everybody else. We spoke already about those. Look at these images. Remember when I gave you a minute last time and I said go uh, to the internet and look up the image of a ewe and the image of a black ram. These are the images that I was referring to. So Iago is referring to Desdemona as a ewe. You see how beautiful and cute the ewe is? Can you see that? Right? Yes. Yeah, right. Complications only started when they discovered that he was married to Desdemona. Other than that, they were happy with him. They were very appreciative of his military accomplishments and the fact that he was defending them against the Turks. Okay, back to the idea of the figurative language, the negative figurative language that Iago is using, especially when he talks about the couple. So he talks about Desdemona in very, you know, positive terms, as innocent, as like a lamb, like a ewe, white. But when he talks about Othello, he refers to him as a black ram, as a thick-lipped, as a Barbary, and these are all negative terms meant, yani first and foremost, to discredit to discredit Othello. Again, you need to know that Iago, low born and base as he is using prose, not poetry, because he's not a lofty or a noble character. And then we have Othello coming up on the stage. We have been waiting for him. We've been waiting to see whether his appearance and his speech would confirm what we know about him already from Iago and from Rodrigo, or not. When he comes on the stage, we are totally stunned by his appearance, by his speech. Very powerful. He maintains himself very well. Uh, he, I mean, he gives you the he is very awe-inspiring. In other words, typical of a military leader, a high and mighty military leader. So again, there is this gap between what Iago said about Othello and Othello when he comes on stage and starts to speak. Again, the language that Othello is going to speak is a language that only tragic heroes and exceptional characters use. Very eloquent, very he knows what he is saying, and he is using verse. Up till this moment, he's using verse or poetry because he hasn't lost control yet. Once he loses control, he comes down from wherever he was on top of the hierarchy. So his speech reveals a man of large scope and imagination, and he and gives the impression of space and vastness. So as you can see, we have two images of Othello, and those two images are contradictory. We have the image of Iago and Rodrigo, and this one is full of prejudice, bias against Othello, and the other one is of Othello himself, the image that he projects of himself as high and mighty, to the extent that critics refer to his language when he spoke for the first time, as a language that is full of music. The Othello music is a term coined by Wilson Knight, and Wilson Knight was a very famous British critic, and he is the one who circulated and popularized the term the Othello music. Wilson believes that Othello is faultless, and it was all faultless and flawless, and it was all the work of Iago. And this is something that Leaves is another British critic. He is going to take issues, and he's going to contradict and disagree with these statements by Wilson. It's going to see We're going to see how this is being played out as we proceed. So again, when Othello appears, he tries to defend himself. He is being accused of, practicing witchcraft and magic on Desdemona, and that's why she decided, or she married, she got married to him. They said that she wouldn't have done so if she was in her right mind, and Othello um, somehow uh, um, worked out a magic spell on her. He cast a magical spell on her. Okay, let's take a 5 minute break, pray and come back. How about that? 5 minutes for the prayers and then we come back. Okay, I'll see you in 5 minutes, inshallah. Bye bye. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We're back, everyone. Okay, so are we all back? So it was a 5 minute break, right? And we are all back, hopefully, right? So type 1 if you can hear me. So obviously no one can hear me if you're not typing 1. Do we have a problem? Ah, yes. Yeah. Okay. طيب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Okay. So can't you come to the mic and say something? I've been monopolizing the talk for the past hour or so, and this is something I hate about myself. So would you help me out with that? I would like somebody to come to the mic and tell us what she or he, of course, has understood. Absolutely, Aranim. Just raise your hand and I can enable the mic for you. Mm. Okay, so obviously people are shy to come up and speak on using the mic, which I appreciate, no problem. But your colleagues did it in A230B and it was fine. I mean, lots of people spoke and they added value to the conversation that we are holding. I would like for you to reconsider this. I mean, that would be to the benefit of everyone if you come to the mic and speak your mind and add insights into what we're talking about, into what we are discussing and exploring. Anyway, let's go back to the play. Juliana wanted to say something. Juliana. Yeah, go ahead. Just raise your hand so that I can enable your mic, Juliana. By the way, last time you were Julia, only Julia. This time around, you're Juliana. I'm hopeful that you guys are not two different people. Okay. So Julia, Juliana, the Julia of last time, right? Yeah, yeah. I was just joking. Okay, Julia, can you come to the yeah, okay, I'll allow you. Okay, approve. Yeah. Go ahead. We're all ears, yeah, Julia. Hello? The mic is yours. Hello? We allowed you, Julia, unless you have a technical problem. Okay, طيب. Yes. You're not heard unless other people can hear you. I cannot myself. Anyway, I think who's that? Okay. طيب, in the interest of time, Yeah, nobody can hear Juliana. Perhaps she has a technical problem. Anyway, in the interest of time, we'll have to proceed. So again, we're talking about this guy's music, and the idea that what he says is music to the ears of some critics, and one of them happens to be Wilson Knight, of course. And also, a source of music would have to do with the idea that he was a man, or he is a man in love. When somebody, male or female, is in love, they normally have heightened sensibilities and refined feelings, and their language is very delicate and fine and filtered and everything. So all the more reasons why I mean, his language would be considered musical. uh, okay, you can almost tell the difference between Othello when he first appears and the other characters. He obviously, they would pale in comparison with him. He is the and the high and the mighty. He's noble. He's exceptional. He is wise up until this point, of course. Again, it would be good, I mean, for him to be different, and it would also be bad for him also to be different, because that would create the set of insecurities that we speak about. Insecurities when it comes to him being an outsider who does not belong. Insecurities when it comes to him being way older than his wife. Insecurities in the sense that he is differently skinned, if you like, differently colored. I think I'm coining new terms today or tonight. These are all insecurities, and these are all, um, contributing factors to the tragic downfall at the end. Um, Again, there will be this kind of verbal exchange between Othello and Brabantio. Brabantio is the father of Desdemona, and both of them will go to the Duke. For the Duke, Duke is like a king, in order to kind of settle this dispute. And when they go and they stand in front of the Duke, we will get to know more about what they think of Desdemona, especially the father. The father would epitomize everything about females and women in his age and in his country. The fact that women at the time, or girls, if you happen to be a daughter at the time, so you're not consulted about who to choose for a husband. You're not consulted about anything. Like we said the other day, marriage was an economic and a political transaction in which the lovers, the man and the woman, have no say in it at all. They are only to agree. Um, so through the revelations of Parapansu, we get to know about marriage at the time and love at the time, and the fact that love meant nothing to people at the time. Again, for them there is no such thing as pure love, as platonic love, as love at first sight, perhaps. No, for them marriage is a social, a socio-political, economic deal, if you like. Again, through the revelations of Othello, we get to know about his opinion of Desdemona. He doesn't believe what, or he doesn't believe in what Parapancio say about his the latter's daughter as being innocent, as being clueless about the ways of the world. He says no. She chose me, and she was very forward with that. It is true that she is innocent and everything, but I am telling you, her decision was an act of free will. Nobody pushes or pushed her uh, to take the decision that she took. So Othello believes that that Desdemona was a forward lady in a positive sense, of course, and she showed interest in him. He believes that yes, his stories may have played a part in her being tempted to him, but he believes that was an act of free will. And then towards the end of the chapter, the act will have a soliloquy by Iago, and a soliloquy, for those who don't know what it means, is a monologue that a character conducts on the stage away from other characters. He speaks to himself, or herself for that matter, and through this inner conversation that is out loud, so that we as audience overhear it, we get to know about what he thinks of. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get into his mind and know what he or she is thinking of. It's a technique that dramatists use so that we can have access to the mind of certain characters, so that we get to know what they think of and what their next move is. So Iago's first soliloquy, in this soliloquy, he's going to talk about to himself, and he's going to talk about his plan to trick Othello into believing that something is going on between Cassio and Desdemona. Again, we get to know about the character of Iago, and he is what we call a self-confessed rogue. He has no he doesn't deny the fact that he is evil, okay? And this is perhaps interesting and to his credit. He doesn't hide the fact that he is planning and that he is evil. Again, in the soliloquy, we get to know about, Iago's other suspicions. It's not only because he was passed over for the promotion. It's also the fact that he believes that his wife is betraying him with Othello. So, as you can see, the play is about love, but love as seen by different characters, and those different characters have different views of love. So, the theme of love is viewed as high-minded and romantic by both Desdemona and Othello. But the same theme is reduced to physical gratification by Iago, for example. And then we move to Act 2. And when we move to Act 2, we also have a movement, um, a movement from one place to another. We're moving from Venice to Cyprus, and the associations of both cities are kind of are known. When you talk about Venice, you talk about a dukedom that has a senate, and you have elected representatives. You're talking about civilization, in other words. But when we go to Cyprus, Cyprus is one of the naval and the seaports, obviously, of Italy at the time. And it has all the associations of, um, um, storminess, the fact that it's an island, and if it's an island, you have a sea, and you cannot predict what happens with the sea next. So you're moving from stability to disorder. You're moving from the rule of law to anything else when it comes to Cyprus. So as we move to Act 2, as you can see, we also move in geographical setting from a place symbolic of order, of law and order and control. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So can you see them now? Okay. Can you still see them? No. Okay, wait. Okay, okay. Now, yes. Okay. So I was talking about Act 2, and the movement of from Act 1 to Act 2 also marks the transition from one place to another. Okay. Okay. Very strange. Okay. Okay. Can you see everything now? The slides and me and everything. Okay. Bye. Anyway. So again, we're talking about the movement from Act 1 to Act 2, which coincided with the movement from Venice to Cyprus. Again, the movement is not without good reasons and not without consequences. The movement has reasons. The reasons have to do with the news that the Turkish army is going to attack Venice. So Cyprus was a seapost, and Othello and his army will go there so that they can defend Cyprus. And if they defend Cyprus, they would not allow the Turks to move inside and go to Venice. Okay, so Cyprus is a place of war, as you can see, while Venice is a place of civilization, of civics. People stay there. They trade, for example, they work. So it's not a place where people can fight in. So the movement again is not going to be without consequences, because most of the scheming and the planning, the evil planning that Iago will do are all in Cyprus. Again, as if Cyprus is the fit or the best atmosphere for scheming and for evil planning. Again, the image of the sea is very powerful here. You know, the sea is not very predictable. You cannot predict what happens next. And the sea is most of the time portrayed as being an element of betrayal. It's never quite, you cannot, you like the sea from afar, but the sea is responsible for the drowning of scores of people every day. Hundreds upon hundreds, thousands, and even millions upon millions of people drown in the sea. So the associations of the sea are not that positive anyway. So perhaps this is the reason why we're moving from Venice to Cyprus. Again, most of the bad acts, most of the scheming will take place in Cyprus. Again, when they go there, and obviously they are making preparations so that they can defend Venice against the Turks. When they go there, somehow a deal is struck, a truce of a sort is struck between the Turks and the Venetians, and war is avoided and averted. This is of course, yes, this is of course good news. Yeah, it can be good news for everyone except the soldier, because war is the business of soldiers. So what is it that they are going to do if there is no war? Okay, so this is a problem that Othello is going to face. He has no other business. He has to momentarily forget about the military and engage in civil life. Can he do it? Judging from the end of the play, he cannot. He is not trained into the ways of the civil world. Obviously, none of the strategies and the tactics that he acquired in his military life would apply in civil life, or he would suspend using any of them, and the end result would be that he will die tragically and he will kill his own wife. So again, declaring that the war is avoided would be in the best interest of everyone except for Othello, the military guy who has no other business, who does not know anything in the world other than war and the tactics of war. So I think you can go figure. You can always expect, even if you haven't read the play, you can almost tell that something is not right, that we are in for a catastrophe of a sort, which we had eventually. So upon the Venetian army's arrival in Cyprus, they learned that the war with the Turks has been avoided or averted. For a soldier, this is a problem. right? Othello has nothing to do. Um, and we have this saying by one of the famous philosophers. He says about soldiers, and if they are out of war and battles, they normally their courage will effeminate and their manners will get corrupt because they are not again trained into the ways of the world. Othello will turn from a soldier to a lover, um, and this may be another source of disappointment for Iago. Again, the change of setting is very important, is very significant, and it can reinforce the development of events later in the play. So the storm of Cyprus is seen as a premonition of the stormy events which are about to be set in action by the twisted mind of Iago. Um, in terms of arrangement, Iago and Emilia will arrive earlier. Desdemona, Iago, and Emilia will arrive in Cyprus before Othello, and then he is going to follow them. Um, and then there is going to be a number of exchanges between Cassio and Iago, and we will get more insights about both, about Iago and Cassio. And we'll see, for example, that Cassio is such a gentleman, and the fact that he deals with Desdemona in a very civil manner, and he shows respect for her. Again, in most of Act 2, we will not hear much um, from Othello himself. He'll be spoken about as usual, but he wouldn't have this heavy presence that we have seen in Act 1. Perhaps this is the writer's way of baying or paving the land for what is ahead. Perhaps this is the only chance where we can have more about Cassio and about his uh, um, drinking habits, and those drinking habits are going to entangle him in fights with other people, and this is something that Othello is going to be angry about, and this is something that Othello will take against Cassio, and he will end up stripping him of the new promotion that he has given him. And this is only an opportunity for Iago to work more on his schemes, winning the favors of Othello. And this is the time when Othello is going to kind of blindly trust Iago, to the extent that he's going to, from now on, he's going to refer to him as honest Iago, which is, of course, very ironic, given the fact that we, as members of the audience, know what Iago is all about in terms of evil and stuff. Again, in this part and in this act, we're going to have another soliloquy by Iago, in which he is going to kind of give us more insights about his the scheme that he is developing, and the plan, the evil plan that he is cooking behind Othello. And then we move to Act 3, and Act 3 is normally referred to as the temptation. It has one of the scenes is called the temptation scene, and the temptation scene is more or less going to be revelatory about the character of Othello and how rash he is and how unwise he is, if you like. So, apart from being a revenge tragedy, Othello is a domestic tragedy. Yeah, we spoke about that. We spoke about the idea that it is also a domestic tragedy because it is about the internal affairs, the private affairs of a couple. Suffice it to say that the whole of Act 5 is going to be in the bedroom of Othello and Desdemona. If you talk about the play structurally, you're going to find it possessing or having only one single plot. It doesn't have any subplots that would divert our attention away from the main events. Again, it's time that we talk about Othello in terms of the assessments that critics are making of his character. Like I said, you have a pro Othello critics, set of critics, and you have a pro Othello set, anti Othello set of critics. The pro Othello critics are people like Wilson Knight and A.C. Bradley. We met Wilson Knight 15 minutes ago when we spoke about Othello's music, his dignified speeches, which Wilson Knight believes are or stem from the fact that he is noble at heart. We also have A.C. Bradley, who is another pro-Othello critic. And he wrote a very famous essay by the name of Shakespearean Tragedy, in which he heaps praise on Othello, and he tries to find justifications for his misdemeanor at the end of the play. The fact that he kills his own wife and gets and kills himself at the end. He believes that Othello is open and passionate. He believes that he inspires love to Desdemona and the audience. He believes that people, in spite of his mistakes, Othello, people still pity him and they feel that he was deceived and tricked by Othello, by Iago. He even finds or tries to find justifications for the killing of Desdemona by saying that Othello was new and jealousy is not foreign to people. Jealousy. For people to feel jealous is fine. Those who are against Othello are people like the famous poet T.S. Eliot and a British critic by the name of Lewis. T.S. Eliot believes that Othello has a tendency to self-dramatize. He wants to be put in spectacles and in situations where he can earn the sympathy and pity of other people. He's trying to say that Othello is not genuine in his feelings. All what he does in order to make a show out of it all. For Leaves believes that you cannot blame it all on Iago, because obviously when you blame it all on Iago, you're making a fool out of Othello, you are indirectly referring to or alluding to the idea that Othello is a mere plaything in the hands of Iago, and this is out of keeping with his exceptional position as a tragic hero who should be strong, powerful, good judge of characters, and other good qualities. So, so Iago's power is that he represents something that is in Othello. The traitor is within the gates. Othello was ready to respond to Iago's temptation. He was ready for that. I mean, in other words, he's saying that uh, Othello was conscious about what was going on, and he didn't try to help himself. So to come and say that Iago did it all would be to the discredit of Othello himself. Am I making sense so far? Do you have any questions? Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Again, in Act 3, Scene 3, the temptation scene will have all these complications where somehow uh, um, Cassio will be given the bait, which is the handkerchief of Desdemona. Somehow it will be put in Cassio's room, and somehow Othello will know about it. He will ask Desdemona about it. She will be confused. She wouldn't give him the right quick answer that he wants. He comes to the conclusion that the insinuations or the allusions of Iago were all correct, and something is going on between Desdemona and Cassio. Hence the decision to kill her. Perhaps we need to again reiterate and repeat the insecurities of Othello, those insecurities that were contributing factors to the disastrous decisions that he took towards the end of the play. So what are these insecurities again? Number one, the fact that he was an outsider, not a Venetian. He is black in an ocean or in a sea of white people. So he has this complex within his mind. He is black, of course. He is older than his wife. He is an army man and is inexperienced with family life. Remember when we said that it was good news for everyone that the Turks and the Venetians had a truce or an agreement, and they decided to avoid war. But this was not good news for neither Iago or Othello, especially Othello, because Othello, um, his life depends on him being a warrior. This is what he took credit for. He's not trained into the ways of the world. So it's only natural when that he would be when he gets tested in civil affairs, he fails spectacularly, right? Um, Again, you cannot deny that in spite of his love for Desdemona, he has a very bad opinion of women. and he was a misogynist. Misogyny means the hate of women. Misogynist is somebody who has or who nurses hatred for women. He was a misogynist whether he admits it or not. um, Again, you need to always remember that when Othello loses control, he reverts to prose. He speaks in prose, which is an indication that he is no longer the exceptional individual that we met him at the beginning. He is uh, lowering himself. Um, he uses foul language out of keeping with his status as a tragic hero, of course. I think I will stop on this note and with this item. When we meet tomorrow, tomorrow's plan would be for us to finish the rest of this chapter and the other chapter, so that tomorrow would mark or will mark the end of our talk and our discussion of Othello. When we meet the time after next time, we will move to the Duchess of Malfi, inshallah. So if you have any questions before we leave, I'm ready to answer them. You guys have the TMA by now. I would like you to read it. And if you guys have questions, we can always answer them tomorrow, inshallah. I'll have this recording trimmed, and I'll send you the link as soon as I edit it. Okay. Let's call it a night. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Bye bye.